Hey guys, you've no doubt heard that there's some big Buell news out there this week. Today I'm going to talk about that a little bit, so let's get right into it. Alright, so I'm coming to you from the I Am Buell / Between Two Bikes garage. I'm most commonly known as I Am Buell in the interwebs. I'm talking to you between two of my Buells, my 2009 1125 CR and my Buell XB 9, also a 2009. I first thought I'd take you through my history with Buells so you know sort of where I'm coming from if you haven't been following me for a while. So I fell in love with Buells probably around 2005, where my friend Ramon was riding for the Harley Davidson stunt team in South Africa. And he rode a Buell, and when he pulled it out, I was like, that's the coolest looking bike I've ever seen. And I think he was on an XB9 at that point. Obviously tricked out for stunting. So I moved to Canada. In 2011, I got my bike license. My very first motorcycle was a Buell XB12 Lightning Long 2006, a black one. I'll show you some pictures of that now and some of the adventures I did on that bike. My second Buell was this guy, the 2009. I then got a Buell Ulysses and did a huge adventure through the United States and met a whole bunch of cool people in the Buell community. And then recently, I think a year or two ago I got the 1125. And so that's sort of my history in a nutshell with Buell. And so I've had the privilege of learning how to work on these machines and be part of this amazing community that is Buell. So how did we get here? In order to understand where we are today with Buell, you sort of have to understand the last sort of decade, maybe 20 years. So Buell actually started in 1984 with the tube frame models. Then we go into the 2003-ish era of the XBs. They come to life. Around about 2006, 2007, the Ulysses, the adventure bike, is created. And then in 2008, we see the drop of the 1125s, which moved from really a Sportster-based motor into a Rotax liquid-cooled engine producing significantly more power. That's sort of the story of how Buell went from 1984 to 2009. Actually, they were shut down by Harley, who I think was mainly due to the 2008 crunch in the economy. They refocused their brand onto their soul brand or their core brands, and decided to drop Buell as a secondary to them. So Erik Buell, what does he do in 2009? He starts EBR, Erik Buell Racing. He's just doing boutique stuff. He's licensed a few things from Harley. He's building race bikes. He's supporting race teams. And that's sort of what he's doing. Then we don't hear too much. We hear little bits and pieces. Then about 2013, 2014, we hear of a deal between Hero Motorcycles out of India, the biggest manufacturer of motorcycles in the world, and EBR, and everyone thinks, yes, this is it, this is our ticket, EBR's coming back, Buell's coming back, it's all going to happen now. Then what happens? Something goes bad in the deal. Someone forgets to make a payment, something happens, everything falls apart. There's talks of a guy named Bruce Balfour, he can't get financing. It falls into the lap, a literal lap, a company called Liquid Asset Partners. They come in to take what's left of EBR after it's been cut up by Hero and various others. So it's in auction. They take it over, and it's been quite quiet, but you've been able to buy things. because it's a liquidation company, my initial thoughts, and I think a lot of guys' thoughts, well, okay, they're going to come in, sell all the assets, make some profit on that, and then wipe their hands and be done. But they've either done a terrible job of that, and they haven't been able to sell all of the stuff, or they had a plan, and they're now starting to execute on that plan. And so what's happening now, from what I can see, is that they've continued to make those parts. And just a small operation, and they've just got a small amount of people working there. But for instance, I got a part from them last week that I needed for this guy, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a few minutes here. So basically, in the past week, Buell Motorcycles has appeared online. There's a direct link between them and the EBR website, which is now owned by LAP. So it looks like this is legitimate and that it's happening. And this whole video came off of a post that I wasn't sure if this is just someone making up stuff. Like, we've heard this a lot of times before. And so after some digging, I put up a big thing on my Instagram account, a big poll, and it was close 50-50 on who believed this was fake news and who believed this was real. I've managed to talk to a few guys that are in the know, and this is real, it's happening. The very first thing we need to talk about here is Erik Buell involved? No. Erik Buell has not been involved since the time this thing went into liquidation. Erik Buell does not want to be involved in motorcycles anymore. Is that a big deal? For me, no. We're riding the guy's bikes, and now we have someone who's coming in to support, to make new, to make better. They are looking at the community. They're looking at guys like Jacob Stark, who've made an evap kit to help with cylinders exploding on the EBR. This is good news. This is something that we should be happy about, because there's going to be support. There's going to be support for the EBR models, which if I could get my hands on one of those bikes, I would. I don't know how easy that is to get into Canada, but I'm keen. An EBR would be sick, particularly an SX in white or black with a short pipe. Looks amazing. Does this mean that I don't care about Erik Buell? No, we all have an emotional connection to the guy. Most of us have never met him. We have an emotional connection to his designs, to his bikes, to everything that he kind of stood for. And that sort of was the issue. Erik Buell's an engineer. He's a quirky guy. He's the kind of guy who wants to design cool stuff and let people ride it. He's not a business guy. And we've seen that time and time again. He designs stuff that some of it's not practical. A big problem is sitting on my right. I'm waiting for a rotor puller. And that's a big problem on the 1125 platform. The 2009s and 2010s rotors burn up because there's not enough oiling to the rotor. That's a problem. It's a design problem. But now we have a company that's listening to guys in the community saying, this is what's wrong with the bike, this is what you need to do to fix it. This is really good news. So here's prediction time. This is the I Am Buell between two bikes prediction. I think what's going to happen here is they're going to slowly start to build bikes, which is the way they should have always been doing this. Boutique bikes. Listen, if Ronin can sell bikes for $50,000, EBR doesn't need to sell them for dirt cheap. They're great bikes. Can they sell them for $40,000? Probably not. Not everyone's got money for an RS. But an RX, if they can price them around the 15 grand mark, perfect. I think they're in business. I think they're competitive with everyone else coming out of Japan, and I think they're way cooler bikes than anything that's coming out of Japan. Just my opinion. My second prediction here is going to be that they are not going to touch XB stuff. Unless Harley's going to give them molds and dies or whatever they need to cut parts, I don't think we're going to see a lot of XB stuff. I think we're going to see support for the EBRs, and whatever crosses over from EBR to 1125, lucky. Brakes and stuff cross over to XB, that's great. But I don't think they're going backwards. I don't think there's a market for XBs, I'm afraid to say, guys. There's no one making, air-cooled, naked, street fighters anymore. They're making big 100, 150 plus horsepower bikes. Like they're just not going to be doing that anymore. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that's a reality. So if you've got your XB and you're hoping for all these XB parts to come on the market and be cheap again, I think you're out of luck. So what's going to happen next year? What I've tried to do is reach out to buellmotorcycle.com and some of the guys in the community to see if I can get an interview, a between two bikes type interview going with one of the guys from LAP, and see if we can find out directly from the horse's mouth what's going on over there. I haven't heard anything back yet, but it's only been 24 hours, guys, and I'm sure they are probably inundated now. Like that message spread like wildfire through the forums, and honestly, I'm just happy they're back in business. I think this is super awesome for Buell. And the only thing is, I do not ever want to have to sing this song again. Playing games with my heart. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, do all those things. Comment away. Type negative comments. I don't care. Just engage with my content. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks so much for your time. Ciao.